A survey of 1,000 randomly selected American adults conducted in January 2013 stated that 44% of them said it's too hard to adopt a child in the U.S. Using the central limit theorem, we want to find a 99% interval for the proportion of American adults who think it's too difficult to adopt. Our sample value of 44% is written as p hat equal 0.44. We also have a sample size of n equal 1,000. So to make sure the central limit theorem holds, remember we need to check that n times p hat and n times 1 minus p hat are at least 10. These two quantities will be 440 and 560, and those are well above 10, so we've checked off that our conditions are met. Our confidence interval then is p hat plus or minus our z critical value times the square root of p hat times 1 minus p hat over n. So our 0.44 goes everywhere we see a p hat. Our sample size n is 1,000. And then if you look up a 99% in the normal distribution as the 0.99 in the middle of the graph, you will get a 2.575 for your z star. Those are also listed on the previous page in the table. So we get 0.44 plus or minus. If we calculate this whole margin of error, it's 0.0404. So when we add and subtract, we get this as our 99% confidence interval for p. So we would interpret that as saying we're 99% confident that the proportion of American adults who think it's too difficult to adopt is somewhere between 0.3996 and 0.4804. In Part C, we're asked to argue whether or not a majority of adults think it's too difficult to adopt. A majority is considered to be over half or over 50%. Our interval is entirely below 50%, does not cross over the 50% or 0.5 threshold, so we would say no, that is not considered a majority. Finally, how would this interval change if the 44%, which we still had that as our p hat, was instead based off a sample of 2,000? What would happen if we put 2,000 here instead is we're going to divide by a bigger number. That's going to make this number, our margin of error, smaller. And so we have a smaller standard error, decreases, a smaller margin of error, and therefore we add and subtract less, and we would end up with a narrower confidence interval.